Everyone, so unless you've been living under a rock, you probably know about the huge blockbuster trade that went down last night. Matt Duchene is no longer playing for the Colorado Avalanche. It was only a matter of time before he got traded. He finally got moved in this massive three-team deal between Colorado, Nashville, and Ottawa. This is really cool to see because you don't see trades like this anymore, especially not during the season. Trades used to be a lot easier to make before the salary cap, but since the caps come in 2004, things have really quieted down on the trade market, and you don't see moves like this very often anymore. Really at all. If they do happen, they're in the off season. You don't see mid-season trades like this, but this trade is massive for all three teams involved. And from what I could gather, this is all the moving pieces going on right now. When you look at it, Nashville gets Kyle Turris, and they give up Vladislav Kamenev, Samuel Girard, and a second-round pick. Ottawa gets Matt Duchene. They give up Shane Bowers, Andrew Hammond, and a first and third-round pick. And Colorado adds all these picks and prospects and gives up Matt Duchene. So, first of all, when I'm first looking at this trade, nobody got really shafted. There's no clear loser. There's no team that didn't get really anything in return, and nobody got completely screwed in this deal. And that should be expected, or otherwise they would have never agreed to this deal, unless they have a really bad GM. So there's going to be a lot of talk about winners and losers from this trade. I don't think there's any real losers. The real winner depends on what you're going for. If you're talking about winning right now and making your team a Stanley Cup contender for this year, Nashville is the winner. If you're talking about building a team in the future and maybe 5 years from now being a playoff team or a Stanley Cup contender, Colorado is the winner. Ottawa, I think, gets the least value out of this deal, but they still needed to make this deal anyway, and I'll tell you why. They were getting nowhere on contract talks with Kyle Turris. They were going to lose him for nothing at the end of this season. Now they got rid of Turris, and they've added Matt Duchene, who is locked up for a number of more years after this year. So Duchene is going to be in Ottawa for a while. So rather than lose Turris for nothing, they get Duchene, and he's going to be there for a while. Now, as far as this season goes, Ottawa, really, this is a wash. They add Duchene, but they lost Turris. That kind of cancels it out, I would think. They're pretty similar players. I think Turris even is the better player at this point, although I don't think by much, and a change of scenery might elevate Duchene's game to the point where it was a few years ago, and then they would be equal or even Duchene the better player. But on top of losing Turris, Ottawa gives up a lot. They give up a first and third round pick, which that's Andrew Hammond is not much of a loss at this point. In their first round pick from last year, Shane Bowers. So Ottawa really gives up a lot to get Duchene here. I think that of all the teams, they definitely got the worst value out of this, because Duchene, he's a solid player. He's a second line player. He's a guy who can get you 50 plus points. But he's not like a point-per-game player. He's not an elite, 80-point guy. And they gave up a lot. They gave up Turris, they gave up Hammond, they gave up Bowers, and their first and third round picks. Unless they think that Duchene is going to, a change of scenery is going to cause Duchene to blow up into an 80-point player, this isn't the greatest deal for them, but they did it because they were going to lose Turris for nothing at the end of this year. Nashville, they get the best value for winning right now. They give up nobody off of their current roster, and they add Kyle Turris, who I think is one of the most underrated players in the league. He's a fantastic scorer, a great leader. He's been around for a long time now, and they also locked him up for 6 more years. I believe he got a 6x6 deal, so $6 million per year for the next 6 years. Turris gives Nashville additional offense that they greatly need. Scoring's been a problem for this team this year. Turris really helps to alleviate that problem. He's also a very good leader and could help replace some of the leadership lost with Mike Fisher's retirement. What did they give up? They gave up Vladislav Kamenev, who I don't know a ton about. I know he was playing in the AHL and was a decent player in the AHL. So we'll have to see how he develops for Colorado. And Samuel Girard's a loss. He was Nashville's best defensive prospect. He is projected to be a very good top 4 NHL defenseman, but as most of you know, Nashville's loaded with defense, especially right now, so they can afford to lose a defensive prospect to add some offense, and that's exactly what they did. And they also gave up a second-round pick. Nashville's probably going to finish high up in the standings, so that's going to be a late second-round pick. That's not a huge loss. So Nashville came out very good for winning right now from this trade because they lost nothing off of their current everyday roster, and they added Kyle Turris, who is, I think, a fantastic second-line goal scorer and will greatly help this team. He should be, easily probably 25 goals and easily, 55 or so points. So this is a big win for Nashville for them to compete for a Stanley Cup right now. And Colorado, all they lost was Duchene. They got rid of him, who we knew he was going to go somewhere. He was not staying in Colorado. They got a haul in return for him as far as the future goes. They did not get any better right now. They got worse, actually, right now, taking Duchene out of that lineup. But they know that they're not a Stanley Cup threat right now. They're not trying to be a Stanley Cup threat right now. They're building for the future. And this is a fantastic haul. I think they won the trade overall. It's just going to take a few years before we get to see that. I mean, first of all, the draft picks, they got an extra pick in each of the first 3 rounds. That's 3 more prospects. That's 3 more high-level prospects who are, first-round pick, second-round pick, third-round pick. They added Hammond for some goaltending depth, although I don't think he's an NHL goaltender at this point. I think he's more of a call-up if you need him. They added Samuel Girard, who is an elite prospect, a great defensive prospect, and they've talked a lot about getting better on defense. Girard is going to make them better on defense in the future. And Kamenev and Bowers, I don't know a ton about, but I know they're both young. They're both, good scorers, and they have the potential to develop into being, quality top 6 forwards in the NHL. Kamenev, I believe, to this point, had 8 points in 10 games in the AHL so far this season, and Bowers was a first-round pick in the last draft. So Colorado got a ton in return for Duchene, which is what they were waiting to trade him for, and they finally got it, and they are set up for the future now. Ottawa, they get Duchene but lose a lot, and Nashville, they lose nothing off their current roster, and they add Kyle Turris. That's a huge win for them. They're now a Stanley Cup threat. Well, they were a Stanley Cup threat before. They are now solidified as one of the top teams in the West and they have a good chance to win the Stanley Cup this year. So that's what I think of this trade. There's no one got completely shafted, but I think Nashville comes out on top for as far as winning right now. Colorado comes out on top for as far as winning for the future, and Ottawa got the least value out of that deal. So that's just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm so glad to see a trade like this happen. This is so cool. Things like this don't happen in the NHL anymore. It's really cool to finally see it. Could happen again later this season. If John Tavares in New York don't get a deal done, we could see him move before the deadline. That would be another massive, massive trade. That would be a bigger trade than this one because John Tavares is an elite franchise NHL player. But no need to speculate on that yet. This trade's awesome. Awesome to see. Finally a post-salary cap blockbuster, during the season. And that's just what I think of it. So like, comment, share, subscribe, follow, whatever. Follow us on social media now. Thank you for watching. Spread the word about this channel. We want it to grow. Thank you for watching, and talk to you guys soon.